Carolina, you've been in the business for over 20 years now. How do you think the market's evolved in that time?
Well, over 20 years, the market has changed tremendously from the product offering to the consumers that typically shop in travel retail. So we talk about entirely different landscape. First of all, when I started in the travel retail, the main driver of the industry were the Japanese, and all the products were geared very much towards that segment. And now it's much more diversified with, like the Chinese and the Koreans and the Japanese who come into play. Therefore, the merchandising has changed accordingly.
The difference between Europe and Asia Pacific is very measurable, isn't it? I mean, here, for example, fashion, jewellery, accessories and so on are far more dominant than elsewhere.
Yes, totally. I would agree with what your assessment is, because even when you compare Europe to Asia, in the luxury segment, the brands would be still the same. The desirability, the dream for the brand, the aspiration remain very similar. However, there are some very delicate differences between the markets and different sensibilities that each operator should be aware of in order to be successful.
How do you drill that down then? I mean, is Korea a completely different market from that of Japan and again from China? I mean, how flexible do suppliers need to be, and indeed retailers need to be, in order to address the different interested communities?
Well, it's the same model, like think globally and act locally. Even though for each of the brands that we handle, we do have every season the list of must-have or key references, but then we are very sensitive to market differences, and I'm Asian, so actually there is distinct differences between the Chinese consumers to the Koreans to the Japanese, and we really take that into consideration in the product offering that we do for travel retail and that we offer to each of our partners in each territory, even if they are the same group. But we would share that wealth of information and our experience to each of the buyers from individual countries to make sure they have the right product for the right consumers.
So can you then just briefly walk us through the portfolio of products you represent?
Well, we are in the Guess land, and I've been working with the Guess brand for many, many years, and we are handling the Guess watches and the Guess handbags for some key markets. Escale is handling in particularly the North American, USA market, travel retail, and for Japan and China, so which are the three strategic markets for the brand. We also handle the Versace for global duty-free, and Amala skincare, which is organic skincare, equally for global travel retail. So some brands we do for specific markets and some brands for the global travel retail.
Where do you think the Asia Pacific market is going in the next 5 years? I mean, how dominant will China be?
I sincerely believe that China will be the key driving factor for Asia Pacific duty-free, and we are taking steps, for marketing, for merchandising, for product development, for commercialization, to really target this market. It's really the driving force behind the travel retail.
I guess what's important is that in today's marketplace, you've got to be fast on your feet. You've got to respond to the changing dynamics and the changing profiles of the travelling passengers. I mean, so is adaptability and flexibility sort of the cornerstones of what you do as a business?
Yes, what you say is true. In fact, what we are trying to do is to anticipate the market trends, and I'm really blessed that we work with principals who are truly supportive. In all the brands that we handle, they are themselves very informed about the changing trends and how important the China market is. So whatever we do in terms of product development, imagery, would be specific to that market group, which is China. It's very much the pivotal point, the focus in our brand strategy. And this applies to Guess or to Versace, to the brands that we are working with. Everybody is truly aware of how important it is.
Caroline, I wish you well. Many thanks.
Thank you.